Chaikunda Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Chaikunda Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Jai Kundra Bihari Yashodanandana Yamunatiravanachari Jai Kundra Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kundra Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radha Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Yoga Dharma Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai Samveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai
Welcome Sarshiromani Prabhu for today's Radhashtami Sravanotsav. And today's topic, Prabhuji is going to enlighten us about the Ras Leela. Is it a Ras Leela or a Rascal Leela? So, we have heard a lot from Sarshiromani Prabhu for the Sravanotsav during Janmashtami, and Prabhuji had very nicely taken us through a lot of important concepts for the and prepared us for Janmashtami. Similarly, Prabhuji is now taking for Radhashtami, and as you all know very much about Sarshiromani Prabhu, but just a short. Would like to take 1 minute introduction. So Prabhuji has been a brahmachari in 2000 since 2008 in ISKCON Hyderabad, and I mean Prabhuji has currently is serving in ISKCON Hyderabad and has been a brahmachari joinee trainer for 7 years and ashram caretaker right now at ISKCON Hyderabad. And Prabhuji handles 2 voice centers in Hyderabad, and also having already been trained up in leadership management courses, Prabhuji has been taking a lot of many value education courses for teachers as well as college youth. And right now Prabhuji also takes Bhakti Shastri and various congregational preaching programs in Hyderabad. And so it's a very fortunate event for all of us to hear from Prabhuji today to help us prepare for coming auspicious Radhashtami. Hare Krishna.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurummilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutabadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatine Sutarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaurasve Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vacha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyo Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gauravananda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So I am very grateful to all devotees for giving me this opportunity, especially His Grace Murli Gopinath Prabhu for planning Sravanotsav even for Radhashtami. So today we are going to discuss whether Krishna's Ras Leela or is it Raskal Leela. So our Srinivas Prasad gave a very nice title for this. So when Srila Prabhupada was in Chennai, he was staying in one well-wisher's house, and the couple were repeatedly requesting Srila Prabhupada, Swamiji, can you please speak on Ras Leela? So Prabhupada was very much hesitating to speak. So, but they were again forcing Srila Prabhupada to speak. So that finally Prabhupada said, you may be qualified to hear Ras Leela, but I am not qualified to speak Ras Leela. So if great souls like Srila Prabhupada feel like that, then what about me? I am a very tiny, insignificant soul. So I have no qualification to talk about it. So generally, when a student joins school, He is taught elementary mathematics. It's not that at kindergarten he is directly taught algebra and all trigonometry, all complex mathematics, what is meant for higher people, higher sections. So first the teacher, even the teacher may be very much learned, he will only talk basic maths, numbers, addition, subtractions, very basic things. And gradually, when the child grows in his understanding, eventually the teacher may teach him higher maths. Okay, and eventually, when he gets into MTech or PhD, they may discuss about very complex things in mathematics, right? So same way, when we come to spiritual life, uh, we cannot discuss Ras Leela immediately, as some outside organizations, some so-called gurus do. They directly start speaking Ras Leela, even to public. So once one professor in US, he was an Indian, so he met His Holiness Radhashtami Maharaj. So he said, so voice is low. Is my voice low? How about other devotees?
Prabhuji, I think it's audible, Prabhuji, sufficiently.
Okay.
Uh,
Fine. Okay. So maybe in case if some devotees are not in proper location, they can go to proper location where the range is good. Thank you. So, so this professor told Maharaj that, so how can your people, how can you worship this Krishna? No, he is dancing in the middle of night with others' wives, and he's not even following basic moral rules, moral values. So how can you worship such a God? So then Maharaj told him that, see, do you know Bhagavad-Gita? What Krishna tells in Bhagavad-Gita, 2nd chapter, what is the most important thing? Do you know the basics of Bhagavad-Gita? So that professor said, I have not studied Bhagavad-Gita, but I have done PhD on 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So then Maharaj said that, no, you're not even knowing the basics of Bhagavad-Gita, that your soul, you're not this body, even these basic things you are not knowing, and you are directly studying the highest things about Krishna and Radharani. You are trying to comment on the most exalted subject matter, which is not easily understood by new people. So he said, first you should study Bhagavad Gita, understand who we are, what is our relation with God, and then you should comment about Bhagavatam. So then Maharaj told, I will tell you what is the basic thing taught by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. So then Maharaj wanted to tell him, but then meanwhile he got a call, professor got a call from his wife that, why are you so late? What are you still doing in college? So then the person became a little fearful. He said, no, I have to go immediately. My wife is calling. So if I don't go, then she'll become angry. So he had no time to hear. So people, without understanding even basics about Bhagavad Gita, who are they and who is the Supreme Lord, what is his greatness. So they are commenting about Srimad Bhagavatam, uh, the pastimes of Lord with his dear devotees. So, so that's why first we should understand the greatness of the Lord. So, Prabhupada used to say, people say God is great, but they don't know how great is God. So, first one should understand the greatness of God. Then the sweet pastimes of the Lord become easy for us to understand. So, without that, actually, it becomes very difficult to understand the sweet, intimate pastimes of the Lord with his devotees. So today we will see, first of all, this is based on PPT made by Radhashtami on this particular topic only. So we will see what are the basic things which we should understand before trying to understand Ras Leela. Okay, so I'll just share the PPT. Because without understanding these things, directly trying to understand the Rasa dance, actually will make only offenses. So Prabhupada says Rasa means a mellow or the loving exchange. So there is mundane Rasa or pleasure which people get when they come in contact with mundane objects of this world. And there is Bhakti Rasa or the pleasure which one gets while performing devotional service. So the mundane Rasa is derived, or material pleasure is derived with the material body and mind. And the spiritual pleasure is in the soul rendering its loving service to the Supreme Lord. So the material pleasures of this world are temporary, illusory. They are there only as long as this body exists or the sense objects exist. But the spiritual pleasures are eternal. They continue life, they continue forever, eternal. And whatever progress one makes, that also stays forever. It is not that once you start the process of bhakti, once you die, it's not that it is going to end. Whereas the material progress, whatever we make, ultimately nothing comes with us. At the end of life, everything is finished. So in material progress, people may work hard whole life. They may earn a lot of money also, but nothing comes at the time of death. Whereas spiritual progress is eternal. Whatever little progress you make, you continue from there. And spiritual progress cannot be checked. It cannot be checked by age, caste, literacy, poverty. So we see that even animals like Gajendra, birds like Jatayu, children like Dhruva, even they could offer their devotion to the Supreme Lord and make progress. So when one performs Bhakti Yoga, devotional service to the Lord, so one eventually goes back to God. We have so many examples in the scriptures, Dhruva Maharaj, Jamil, Narada Muni, so many in this in their past lives. Whereas in material world we see that even the greatest of kings like Aurangzeb or Hitler, although they conquered so many kingdoms, but nothing came with them at the time of death. And again they have to continue the cycle of birth and death. So, and in material pleasures, there is bhoga and tyag. So just like in the beginning of marriage, the couples may be very attracted to each other. But when there is little quarrel, there may be divorce. But in Bhakti Rasa, it's not like that. The loving relationship with the Lord keeps increasing forever. So, in the path of Bhakti Yoga, there is genuine love between the Lord and his devotees. In Ramayana, we see whether between Vibhishan or Lord Ram, Hanuman, Bharat, all the various devotees and the Lord, there is genuine, pure love. We see in Mahabharata also between Arjuna and Lord Krishna, there is genuine loving exchange. But whereas in material world, they are all filled with material desires. It's not unmotivated. So Prabhupada says, Rasa is a kind of mellow whose taste is very sweet. And Bhakti Rasa is different from the ordinary mundane Rasa enjoyed by the mundane people. So in this world, everybody wants to love and serve. But when you serve temporary people or sense objects of this world, it ends at the time of death. So the need to love and to be loved is there in each and every one. But in material world, it ends at the time of death. But soul is eternal and the Supreme Lord Krishna is eternal. So the loving relationship between them is eternal. So the eternal love and service to the Supreme Lord is called Sanatana Dharma. So the mundane rasa, it's temporary, and there is bhoga and tyag, which we discussed. So every soul is searching for happiness through various things or people of this world. So, but all these material pleasures are only on the level of body and mind. So once someone may get physical, mental or intellectual pleasures, but these are all on the level of body and mind or intelligence. Like satisfying one's senses, or by winning some chess match, somebody may satisfy one's intellect. So like this, one may be trying to satisfy one's body and mind intelligence, but it will never satisfy the soul. So only when we satisfy, when we engage in loving service to Krishna, then our soul will be satisfied. That's the nature of the soul, to be engaged in loving service to the Supreme Lord. Okay. So this Bhakti Rasa doesn't finish at the time of death. It goes forever, Prabhupada mentions. So what makes Bhakti Rasa or devotional service different from the mundane love? So, Savai Pumsham Parodharmo Hito Bhaktir Adokshaje Ahetuki Apratihata E Atma Suprasidati. So when the love is unmotivated and uninterrupted, then that love is pure love. So Sudama Brahman's love for Krishna, he came to Krishna to meet Krishna in Dwarka, but he didn't ask anything. He just wanted to have darshan and association of the Lord. So they want to have to serve the Lord without any motivation. So, but the love of this world, it's not ahetuki. There are always hetus. So, like Radhashtami is giving the example that in this world, the girl may love a boy, but if he doesn't earn good enough money, so then the girl's father may get her married with another boy. So then the love is hampered. There are material impediments. But in the spiritual or in the Bhakti Rasa, so devotion service, there are no hetus. So one should understand the greatness of the Supreme Lord. Then one will be able to respect him and understand that how great is he. Then one will not take his activities lightly. When an ordinary person does activities, then people may not take it seriously. But when suppose Prime Minister does something, then everybody takes it very seriously. So same way, when we understand the greatness of the Supreme Lord Krishna, then his activities will also be taken very gravely. People don't understand or realize the greatness of the Supreme Lord. So that's why there are problems. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first verse itself establishes the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. How great is the Supreme Lord? What are his characteristics? Janmadhyasya heto anvayat itarataschardesha vignaswarat tene brahma hridayadikavaye yanti yat surya tejo vari mridam yata vinimayo yatra trisargo amrisha damna svena sada nirastakokam satyam param dhimahi. So this verse establishes the supremacy of the Lord, what are his qualities and how he is great. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya means he is the all-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead. I offer my respectful obeisances to you. He is the son of Vasudev. Janmadhyasya yataha. He is the source of everything. So, Garuda Puran mentions that Srimad Bhagavatam is the meaning of all the Vedanta Sutras, the commentary on Brahma Gayatri and full purport of Mahabharata. So in this verse, it is mentioned Anvayad itaratas chardesh abhignas. So he is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations. So Prabhupada gives the example, if one is pinched, he is directly experiencing the sensation and indirectly by seeing the person who pinches him. So the Lord is also directly conscious of his creation and indirectly also is conscious of everything that is happening in this universe. Swarat means he is supremely independent. There is no other cause beyond him. Although he may empower Brahmaji to create, but ultimately he is only empowering him. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. So it is he who has imparted the Vedic knowledge into the heart of Brahmaji. Vedesha sarvair ahameva vedyo Vedanta krit veda videyacha. So he is the source of all the Vedas, and he says that by this Vedas I am to be known. Muhyanti yat surya tejo vari mridam yata vinimayo yatra trisargo amrisha. Even the greatest sages and demigods are placed into illusion. Only because of him do the lifeless material universes temporarily manifested appear attractive due to illusion. So, Dhamna Svena. So, I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode. So, Nirasta Koham, which is forever free from the illusory representation of the material world. The spiritual world, it's free from all kind of illusions. Satyam Param Dhimahi. Therefore, I meditate upon him, the Supreme Absolute Truth. So this verse establishes how great is the Supreme Lord, how he is not an ordinary person, how he is the source of everything, and even the greatest sages, demigods cannot understand him. So Lord, when he appeared in this world, he is not forced to take birth like ordinary children of this world. He appeared with Shankha Chakra Gada Padma, and right from his childhood, he has shown through his various activities how he is the Supreme Lord. He has shown Vishwarup, or he has shown the universes in his mouth through various activities. So, when we try to understand the various pastimes of the Lord, so first we should understand how Lord, he kindly reciprocates with his devotees in various rasas. So there are 5 kinds of rasas, mainly in which the Lord reciprocates with his devotees. So there is Shantaras, there is Dasaras, there is Sakya Ras, there is Vatsalya Ras, and there is Madhurya Ras. So Lord is very kind. He is willing to reciprocate with his devotees in any of these 5 rasas. Okay. So according to the nature of the devotee, Lord also becomes subordinate or malleable according to the desire of the devotees, and accordingly he reciprocates with his devotees. Okay. So when Krishna, no, when devotees want to perform, have Vatsalya, then Krishna becomes a very small child. He becomes fearful. Although fear, it is said that fear personified is fearful of Krishna, but Krishna becomes fearful of Mother Yashoda when she is holding a stick or when she wants to tie Krishna to the mortar. So Krishna very kindly reciprocates with his devotees in various rasas. But then who can reciprocate with the Lord? Is it that any ordinary person can also perform such rasa with the Lord? No, it's not that anybody can automatically perform such have that reciprocation in the 5 rasas, any ordinary person. So it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that one who has, by chanting the holy names of the Lord, if someone comes to the stage of love of Godhead and he is fixed in his vow as an eternal servant of the Lord, then he gradually becomes very attached to a particular name and form of the Supreme Lord. As his heart melts with ecstatic love, he laughs very loudly or cries or shouts. Sometimes he sings and dances like a madman, for he is indifferent to public opinion. Basically, someone who has developed ecstatic love for Krishna, who is free from all anarthas, impurities, only he will be able to have reciprocation with the Lord in those 5 rasas. So one should not imitate the Gopas or Gopis or Yashoda, because sometimes some so-called Babajis in Vrindavan, Radhakund, they say that we will give you, we will tell you what is your eternal Swarupa. Without doing any sadhana bhakti, they say that you need not practice sadhana bhakti. We will give you the end result of what is your eternal Swarupa. You just surrender to me, give some money, or become my disciple. So, or some people say you just need to practice, like some Babajis, they say that you are a peacock in spiritual world. From now, you just start making some songs like peacock, practice like that. So these are all bogus Babajis who are just cheating people to attract some followers. So only those who have developed ecstatic love for Krishna, like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we see that he was always in the mood of ecstatic love for Krishna, in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So there are people called Sahajiyas who try to imitate this ecstatic love. Sometimes they dress themselves as Gopis and they try to show all kinds of ecstatic symptoms. So when once Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, somebody came and he was rolling in the ground and showing all kinds of ecstatic symptoms. So devotees went to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, it seems that there is a great devotee here. So Prabhupada said, no, you kick him, and in case he is a great devotee, he will tolerate, and in case he is a Sahajiya, he will run away. So there are so many people who just try to show off that they have great love for Krishna, although they are not even doing minimum chanting of even few rounds. So there is a simple test whether somebody is having ecstatic love for Krishna or not. So there are 9 symptoms of ecstatic love mentioned in act of devotion. Shantirravyartha kalartham viraktirmana sunyata ashabandha samutkanta namagane sadaruchi asaktishtad gunayakyane kritistad vasati stale iti adhyo anubhavashyut jata bhavankure jane. So these are the 9 symptoms of ecstatic love. Okay. If somebody has all these qualities or symptoms, they can be said to have ecstatic love for Krishna, achieve ecstatic love for Krishna. They should have tolerance and forgiveness, concern that time should not be wasted, detachment and loss of taste for sense gratification, absence of false prestige, hope against hope in Krishna, intense eagerness for Krishna consciousness, a strong taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord, attachment to descriptions of the transcendental qualities and pastimes of Lord Krishna, and affection for those places where the Lord resides, that is a temple or holy place like Vrindavan. So if somebody has all these symptoms, then we can say that they have developed ecstatic love. Otherwise, they are just bluffing like Sahajas. Okay. So how a devotee develops this, one who has developed this ecstatic love, he will be able to see Krishna everywhere. Okay. How? So the acharyas say that just like a greedy man sees money everywhere, okay, even if he goes to forest, he will see how he can purchase the land, sell the trees to get money. Or a lusty man, wherever he goes, he will be lusty. Right? So same way, a devotee, wherever he goes, he sees Krishna. Because he is attached to Krishna, he sees everything in relation with Krishna. Okay. So Prabhupada says, one must train one's mind to see everything that exists as an expansion of the potential of the Lord by offering respects to everything and meditating upon everything as part of the body of the Lord. One will become free from fear. As stated in Bhagavad-Gita, Suhridam Sarvabhutana. Krishna is a well-wishing friend of every living being. As soon as one understands that everything that exists is under the powerful control of one's most beloved friend, one comes to the stage in which the whole universe becomes a blissful abode. Vishram Purna Sukhayate. So he sees everything in relation with the Supreme Lord. So he is always Krishna conscious. So if you see the world with enjoying mentality, then that is wrong outlook. If you see the things and people of this world in relation with Krishna for Krishna's service, then it is the right outlook. So Krishna performed all these various pastimes, various, as I mentioned, the 5 different rasas to attract all of our hearts. But it's not a cheap thing, as some people portray in the Srimad Bhagavad Kathas and all. So these pastimes are very sweet, but before entering the sweet pastimes of the Lord, we should also understand how great He is, and we cannot just imitate. So Krishna performed so many wonderful pastimes with Vatsalya Bhav. He used to, with those who want to reciprocate Vatsalya Bhav, he would steal the butter, and we know those pastimes. Will not go much into detail. So he is born by Mother Yashoda, and with the cowherd boys in Sakeras, he would play. This is when Lord Krishna sometimes would carry sandals of his father when he would go out. So in Sakeras, he would play with the cowherd boyfriends when they would go to forest. Okay, he would imitate birds and animals in the forest, and sometimes Krishna would play various games with the cowherd boys, and they would imitate the birds and animals. Sometimes Krishna would even carry them on their shoulders. So in this way, Krishna performed so many wonderful loving pastimes with his friends. So, but these all children, they're not ordinary people. We should not think that, oh, they are getting this chance just like that, or what, or is it by chance? No. The Srimad Bhagavatam very clearly mentions it. Tam satam brahma sukanu bhutya dasyam gatanam paradaivatena maya shritanam naradarakena sakham vijahru krita punya punja. It is mentioned that all the cowherd boys used to play with Krishna, who is a source of Brahman effulgence for Gnanis desiring to merge into effulgence, who is a supreme personality Godhead for devotees who have accepted eternal servitorship, and who for ordinary persons is but another ordinary child. The cowherd boys, having accumulated the results of pious activities for many lives, so this is very important. So they have been performing, this is Bhaktonmukha Sukriti, not ordinary Sukriti. They have performed devotional service for many, many lifetimes. That's why they are getting this fortune of playing with Krishna. It's not that by chance Krishna chose any ordinary children to play with him. Okay. So now before we try to understand why Krishna performed this Ras Leela with the Gopis in the Madhurya Bhav. So out of all the 5 rasas, the Madhurya Rasa is considered the highest. It includes all the 5 other rasas. So Parikshit Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam, when he heard the rasa dance description from Sukadeva Goswami, he had doubt, because along with Parikshit Maharaj, there were some great sages, but there are also ordinary Rishi Munis and ordinary people there, Grannies. So he thought that all these people may be, doubting Krishna. These people may be doubting the pastimes of Krishna, why this Krishna is, doing ordinary activities like an ordinary man, or even going below the moral standards. So there is a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam where Parikshit Maharaj, on behalf of all people who have doubt, he asked this question. Sri Parikshit Vacha. So, samstapanaya dharmasya prashama yetarasya cha avtirno hi bhagavan amshena jagadishvara sakatam dharma setunam bhakta karta bhiraktishita pratipamacharat brahman paradharami marshanam. So here in the set of slokas he is saying, Parikshit Maharaj is asking, O Brahmana, the Supreme Personality Godhead, the Lord of the Universe, has descended to this earth along with his plenary portion to destroy religion and re-establish religious principles. Indeed, he is the original speaker, follower and guardian of moral laws. How then could he have violated them by touching other men's wives? No. So he is supposed to set rules and regulations, establish dharma. He himself is breaking dharma. So then he is saying, O faithful upholder of woes, please destroy our doubt by explaining to us what purpose the self-satisfied Lord of the Yadus had in mind when he behaved so contemptibly. So he wants to hear from Sukadeva Goswami why Krishna did like this. Now Sukadeva Goswami mentions, the status of powerful controllers is not harmed by any apparently audacious transgression of morality we may see in them, for they are just like fire which devours everything fed into it and remains unpolluted. So just like another example, like sun. Sun is so powerful that it can even purify urine, stool, although they are very contaminated. So, but the sun never gets affected. So the Supreme Lord never gets affected. Okay, this great personality never falls down from his position by any irregularity in his behavior. Okay, so then he says, one who is not a great controller should never imitate the behavior of ruling personalities, even mentally. Even mentally, one should not imitate the activities of great souls. If out of foolishness, an ordinary person does imitate such behavior, he will simply destroy himself, just as a person who is not Rudra would destroy himself if he tried to drink an ocean of poison. So just like people sometimes try to imitate Lord Shiva, saying that he smoked ganja, so we'll also. But then he drank poison. So people don't do that. Same way, Krishna danced with gopis, but Krishna is Gopijana Vallabha, but at the same time he's also Girivardhari. He lifted Govardhan hill. He showed Vishwarup. So Prabhupada used to say, why you are only imitating some pastimes of Lord? Why not imitate all the pastimes? If you want to imitate all the pastimes. So the people in general who want to do sense gratification, who have this enjoying mentality, so they bring down Lord to their level. They think Lord is ordinary person. So if Lord did like this, we will also do same. Rasa dance. We'll also dance with angels. But Lord also showed so many. Lord did this Rasa dance when he was 8 years old. But before that, when he was 7 years old, lifted Govardhan hill. When he was 5 years old, he danced on Kaliya. So he showed so many of wonderful activities. So that should be imitated first if they want to imitate Rasa dance. Then Sukadeva Goswami is mentioning the statements of the Lord's empowered servants are always true, and acts they perform are exemplary when consistent with those statements. Therefore, one who is intelligent should carry out their instructions. So then he's saying, my dear Prabhu, when these great persons who are free from false ego act piously in this world, there are no selfish motives to fulfill. And even when they act in apparent contradiction to the laws of piety, they are not subject to sinful reactions. He's saying that even devotees of the Lord, they are very pure. And even if they act contradictory to the laws, they are not subject to sinful reactions. Then what to speak of the Lord? If the devotees of the Lord, pure devotees of the Lord, if they are not subject to sins, then how could the Lord, who is the source of all living entities, how can he be affected by the laws of this world, right? So material activities never entangle the devotees of the Supreme Lord, who are fully satisfied by serving the dust of his lotus feet, nor do material activities entangle those intelligent sages who have freed themselves from bondage of fruitive activities. So how could there be any question of bondage for the Lord himself, who assumes his transcendental forms according to his own sweet will? So here Sukadeva Goswami is giving a solid answer to the question of Parikshit Maharaj by saying that actually because the Lord is so exalted, he can never be contaminated. He is so pure, and his devotees pure devotees themselves never get affected. So how can the Supreme Lord ever get affected? So now we'll see why the Supreme Lord performed the Rasa dance and with the Gopis. So it is said, Atmendriya Priti Vanche Tare Bale Ka, Krishnendriya Priti Vanche Tare Bale Prem. So when we want to satisfy our own mind and senses, it is lust. But when we want to satisfy the mind and senses, the senses of Lord Krishna, it is love, it is prem for Supreme Lord. So the Gopis, actually they are trying to satisfy the senses of Lord Krishna. They are not trying to satisfy their mind and senses like ordinary people of this world. So there is a story that once a cow was lying in a cow shed and there was fire accident and it got burnt little bit and it got saved. But from the time it became very fearful of fire. Every time it saw something red, it thought it is fire and it was becoming disturbed. So same way, those who are lusty in this world, those who are kamanjara, those who are having lusty vision, whenever a man and woman come together, they always think it is only sex life. Okay. So because they have lust, they superimpose their lust on Lord. Just like that cow. So actually, it is not lust, it is love. Okay. So one should understand it is not ordinary love affairs of this world. It is completely pure. So now we'll see why we can't imitate this. 10 reasons why we can't imitate the Rasa dance of the Supreme Lord. So Krishna is Rishikesha and Adokshaja. These are two words used by Sukadeva Goswami during the description of Rasa dance. So Shrikesh is super soul, Adokshaja is transcendental to the material nature. So just to show favor to his and to the living entities of this world, he appears in this world. But unfortunately, conditioned souls, they think him to be an ordinary person. Although he may appear like Vamana, like a small dwarf, but actually we see that how he became Trivikram and covered the three worlds. So these are the reasons given. So when Krishna performed Ras Leela, he was just 8-year-old. Okay. The gopis were also very small. So there is no sex urge in children. Right? They're very, very small. And Krishna danced with the gopis in their spiritual bodies. So when Krishna, we know the pastime, when Krishna wanted to perform Rasa dance, he played on the flute, and then all the gopis, they left their household activities and they came to Krishna. Some of them were stopped, but then they left their material bodies there with their husbands or their relatives, and they came with their spiritual bodies. Okay. So Krishna is Sachidananda. He is not having material body like us, bones and blood and stool, urine. Our body is made of all material stuff. But the Supreme Lord of the Gopis, their bodies are spiritual, Sachidananda. Okay. So in the spiritual affairs, there is no material lust. So ordinary conditioned souls in this world, they have material lust. So we superimpose this material lust on Krishna. That's the problem. We compare Krishna with us. That's the problem. So we cannot compare, we cannot think that Krishna is like us. Tejiyasam na doshaya. No one can imitate great souls. So as I said, why just imitate some pastimes of Krishna? If somebody wants to imitate, he should imitate all the pastimes of Krishna. So as Krishna danced on Kaliya at the age of 5, he showed how he is Natvar, expert dancer. Although snake is so slippery, he still danced on Kaliya and showed his greatness. And on his little finger of left hand, he lifted Govardhan and showed how he is so powerful. He showed universes in his mouth and showed how he is the source of everything. And he also showed Vishwarup. So if anybody wants to aspire for Rasa dance, they should perform all these activities, then go for Rasa dance. So those who want to just imitate Rasa dance, they are just cheaters. They have only material lust. They want to fulfill their material desires. So it is said that those who carry Krishna in their hearts, the pure devotees, so they wander all over the world without any contamination. So, and Krishna, who is the supreme purifier, how can he ever get polluted by engaging in rasa dance or any other activities? right? So those who engage with Krishna in the Rasa dance, there are different sets of gopis actually mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So we'll see that there is one verse where in the purport it is mentioned what are the various types of gopis. But in Brahma Samhita it is mentioned Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratitbhavithabhi. The spiritual world, the associates of Krishna, especially gopis, are manifestation of the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna. So they are expansions of Srimati Radharani, the gopis. So not only the eternal associates of Lord, they come to Vrindavan to perform pastimes with Krishna. So there are also some who may not be pure devotees, but they are given a chance to associate with Krishna. So in one purport, just open that verse. Yeah. So in one purport, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions the various types of gopis who participate in the Rasa dance. So Rupa Goswami in the Ujjvala Neelamani, he is mentioning there are two categories of gopis, the eternally perfect, the Nitya Siddhas, those, and there are one category, and those who have become perfect by practicing Bhakti Yoga, they are known as Sadhana Siddhas. So these are the two types of gopis who participated in the Rasa dance. And in the Sadhana Siddhas, there are two categories it is being mentioned. Those who belong to the special groups and those who do not. And those in that special groups, it is mentioned, there are two categories in that. There are Shruti-chari gopis and Rishi-chari gopis. The Shruti-chari gopis are the group of personified Vedas. Okay, they become gopis because they want to reciprocate with Krishna in conjugal love, Madhurya Ras. And there are Rishi-chari gopis, the group of sages who saw Lord Ramchandra in Dandakaranya forest. So when Lord Ramchandra, in separation of Sita, was going in the Dandakaranya forest, that time these sages, they were attracted to Lord Ram and they wanted to reciprocate with him in Madhurya Ras. But Lord said, as Lord Ram, I cannot do that. I'm Ekapatni Vrat. So next time when he came, so he fulfilled their desires. So they also joined in this Rasa dance, the Rishi-chari gopis. So like this, there are various kinds of gopis who took part in the Rasa dance. So these are not ordinary people. They are all pure devotees of the Lord. So if the rishis were dancing with Krishna, ordinary people may not be minding, right? But when they see some young girls dancing with Krishna, then ordinary people immediately ask, why like this, why like that? So, but these gopis are actually not ordinary girls. They are all pure devotees of the Lord who have performed so many spiritual activities in the past. Okay. So Krishna is Atmaram. He is self-satisfied. Actually, Krishna shows his detachment. When he sensed a little pride in the gopis, immediately he left the Rasa dance. We know that pastime. And also he left Vrindavan after 11 years and he never came back. Although he was constantly remembering the Vrajavasis. But that also shows how Lord is so detached. When someone loves us a lot, and we would always like to be in their association. So the Vrajavasis loved Krishna the most, but Krishna never came back to Vrindavan. Right? So Krishna is Atmaram, self-satisfied. He is also very detached. But At the same time, Krishna, he is willing to reciprocate love with his devotees in various ways. Okay, according to the desire of the living entities, he wants to reciprocate with them in various ways. So somebody wants to serve Krishna as a son. So in Vasalya Bhav, so Krishna becomes their son as Bal Gopal. And somebody wants to serve Krishna as a friend. So he becomes their Sakha. He becomes their friend. He carries them on shoulder, or he plays with them as an ordinary child. Or somebody wants them, wants Krishna to be their lover or husband, Madhurya Ras, then he becomes their lover or husband. So we see that when the 16,000 princes were delivered by Krishna from Bhaumasur's hand, all of them requested Krishna to become their husband, and Krishna accepted them. He is just reciprocating in their love, with their desire. So Krishna is not lusty. You should not think that Krishna is lusty. That's why he is marrying so many, or he is dancing with the gopis. No, he is just reciprocating with their love, and it is completely spiritual. So if only this is material lusty affairs of this world, then why the greatest celibates would ever discuss about the Rasa dance, right? Or the various pastimes between Lord and his gopis, right? Even the greatest of celibates, they are discussing about these pastimes, like Jayadeva Goswami, Ravanacharya, Madhvacharya. Even Shankaracharya wrote Gopijana Vallabhastakam, glorifying the pastimes of Radha Krishna, gopis. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is such a strict sannyasi who would never allow women to come near and offer obeisances also. He was so strict in dealing that he chastised Chota Hardas and sent him off for his mistake of misdealing with women. So, but he would always be absorbed in the pastimes of Lord with the gopis. In the mood of gopis, he would always be absorbed in separation of Krishna. And Sukadeva Goswami, who was in the womb of his mother for 16 years, he was fearful of getting illusion. So he was only staying in her mother's womb. Okay. So all these great souls, they are so detached, they are so highly renounced, but still they are all discussing these pastimes of the Lord. So they themselves are so detached, then why they will discuss if these are ordinary lusty affairs, right? So when Sukadeva Goswami, it is mentioned, after coming out from the womb of his mother, so when he was walking at one particular place, he came across some young ladies who were taking bath in a lake. So although he was completely naked, not having any dress, but the young ladies did not cover their bodies, because they could understand this Sukadeva Goswami, he was beyond the dualities of this world. So, but when Vyasdev came there, so immediately they covered their bodies. So Vyasdev said, when Sukadeva Goswami came, he was completely naked, but still, why you did not cover your bodies? So they said that he is completely innocent and he has nothing to do with worldly affairs of this world. He is seeing no distinction between man and woman. So Sukadeva Goswami was of that level, that he is so completely pure. So such a person like Sukadeva Goswami, he is discussing these pastimes, right? So in the great assembly of saintly personalities, like where there were Vyasdev, Narada Muni, Parshuram, some powerful incarnations of Lord. So Sukadeva Goswami was chosen to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, right? He was neither a Brahma Rishi, Raja Rishi or Deva Rishi. He was not an incarnation like them. Yet he was given the due respects because he was very exalted completely detached. So he is speaking in Srimad Bhagavatam about these pastimes, the intimate pastimes of the Ras Leela pastimes. So same way Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took sannyas, but he is always absorbed in the mood of Srimad Radharani. So in the Anubhasyas, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur mentions, Gopis are purely engaged in service of the Lord without motive. They are not captivated by the opulence of Krishna, nor by understanding that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna was not attracted by the opulence or personal beauty of Gopis, but by their pure devotion service. So this is what attracted Krishna, their pure devotion. So we know Gopis love, how it is pure. We know from the past time when Lord told Narada Muni to test who are his greatest devotees. So he told Narada Muni to ask people, his devotees, various devotees, to give dust, because he said that tell them that I am facing headache, and to relieve my headache I need the dust of my devotees, their lotus feet. So he went to various devotees, the great sages. They said, how can we give dust? We'll go to hell. So Narada Muni finally goes to the Gopis and says, can you please give your dust? Krishna is feeling headache. He wants the dust from your lotus feet. So immediately all the Gopis gathered and they collected their dust from the lotus feet and immediately gave. Narada Muni was surprised. He said, are you not fearful? How can you give dust to the Supreme Lord Krishna? You may go to hell for this. So they said that for the sake of pleasing Krishna, even for a second, we are ready to go to hell eternally. So this is not just a statement, but really they meant it. The Gopis really meant what they said. So they were ready to go to hell eternally. So try to understand, hell is not some ordinary jail or like that. So there one gets so many punishments, severe punishments. So they were ready to go to hell eternally just to please Krishna even for 1 second. So that is the law of the Gopis. Okay. So, so to understand Krishna, okay, the greatest yogis, saintly persons gave up all their material engagements to meditate upon him. So Gopis are not interested in speculation, in the arts, in music or other conditions of material life. They are bereft of all material enjoyment. Their only desire is to see Krishna return and enjoy spiritual transcendental pastimes with them. The Gopis want Krishna to simply stay in Vrindavan so that they can render service to him for his pleasure. They don't have a tinge of personal sense gratification. So we should understand, it's not that Gopis want to enjoy sense gratification. They want to give pleasure to Krishna. Even when the Gopis dress very nicely, attractively, so they said that they are only dressing for Krishna's pleasure. They would dress nicely so that Krishna will feel happy to see them. Okay, it's not that they are dressing for sense gratification. So their whole life and soul is Krishna's pleasure. Also, Sukadeva Goswami used the specific words Bhaktim and Param. Bhaktim Param means execution of devotional service above the neophyte stage. Those who are simply attracted to temple worship but do not know the philosophy of bhakti are in the neophyte stage. That sort of bhakti is not the perfectional stage. The perfectional stage of bhakti is completely free from material contamination. The most dangerous aspect of contamination is lust or sex life. Bhaktim Param is so potent that more one advances in this line, the more he loses his attraction for material life. One who is actually deriving benefit from hearing the Raslila dance surely achieves transcendental position. He surely loses all trace of lust in his heart. So, when we properly hear the pastimes of Lord, then it can actually purify us. with proper understanding. But if we don't hear with proper understanding, those very pastimes can putrefy us. So we should, that's why here, even if we want to hear this pastimes, we should only hear in parampara with proper understanding. So Krishna, if he is enjoying, all the living entities are his part and parcels. So if Krishna is enjoying with his own part and parcels, there is nothing wrong, right? So it's like if somebody is imitating Krishna's pastime, here the analogy is given. Suppose if a shop owner takes chocolates from his shop, he cannot be fined, right? But if a passerby barges and takes a chocolate, he should be fined. So everything belongs to Krishna. If Krishna dances with his own potencies, part and parcels, what is wrong? Right? There is nothing wrong, right? Actually, Krishna already, in one sense, married the Gopis. So, in the Vastraharan Leela, actually, when Gopis worshipped Krishna to have him as husband, they worshipped Katyayani for 1 month. So, that time, actually, Krishna does the Vastraharan Leela, and he actually accepts them all as his wives. So the lust of this world is compared to iron, and the pure love of this world is compared to gold. Due to our lusty nature, we impose our lust on Krishna, as I mentioned, because we have material vision, kamanjana. That's why we see Krishna also in that way, with material lust. Okay. So the urges of this body and mind are both material, and they are kept only for reproduction. They are not. There is nothing spiritual. Okay, but love of Krishna and Gopis is completely spiritual and transcendental. Okay, this is not of this world. So when we give up our avidya, kamanjana, and when we develop love for Krishna, when we develop premanjana, then we'll be able to understand all these pastimes in a proper way. Okay, so Krishna is real bhokta. Bhoktaram ignatapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suradam sarvabhutanam nyatmamam shantirichati. So when we understand that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, and he is the supreme controller of everything, when we understand the basics of Bhagavad-Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, develop faith in those principles, then we gradually develop faith in Krishna's greatness. Then we will be able to understand the sweet pastimes of the Lord properly. But without that, actually it is very difficult to understand these loving pastimes. Okay. So this completes today's topic of Krishna's Ras Leela, Rasa dance. So today we discussed how actually even Srila Prabhupada felt he is unqualified to speak on Ras Leela. We discussed elaborately that how first we should know the greatness of the Supreme Lord before understanding his sweet pastimes. We discussed what is Bhakti Rasa and what is material mundane Rasa, differences between them. Then we discussed how Krishna performs pastimes in 5 main rasas, and discussed various reasons why we cannot imitate the Ras Leela pastimes of the Lord. So when we understand the greatness of the Lord properly from Bhagavad-Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, then we can actually understand these pastimes properly. Otherwise, we take these pastimes to be like ordinary dealings of a young boy and young girl. So then one will actually develop lust. So those who don't hear from proper sources in the parampara, they actually develop lust by hearing these pastimes. But if those who hear properly in the parampara, with proper understanding, then actually this can awaken our natural love for the Supreme Lord. Okay, Hare Krishna. So I think if anybody has any questions, they can ask regarding what we discussed today. So they can either raise the hand or they can ask in the chat box. So there is one question: how to let go of material desires? Actually, yeah. So when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Krishna is supremely pure. He is Shuddham, Apapavidam. So by coming in contact with Krishna, he is supremely pure and is never affected by any impurity. So Krishna is completely spiritual. So he'll remove all these material desires by regularly coming in contact with him, by sincerely endeavoring to associate with him constantly. We can come out of our material desires. Okay, yeah, yes, bro.
Satyanarayan Prabhuji, can you please unmute?
Yeah.
Krishna Prabhu Dandasunam. So in the midnight on that day, these gopis left their physical bodies in the home and they have gone with spiritual bodies to dance.
Yeah.
Am I right, Prabhu? And
Yeah.
some people, some gopis, they have committed they left their bodies also by burning themselves.